The Grand Council chamber fell silent as Elder Thorn walked to the center. His gray skin looked almost white under the bright lights. The old alien moved slowly, his three-fingered hands clutching an ancient data crystal. "Honored representatives," he began, his voice thin but clear, "I bring grave news." The 50 council members from across the galaxy shifted in their seats. Some leaned forward, others whispered to their neighbors. "Our deep space monitors have detected a ship entering from the dead zone," Thorn said. "Its energy signature matches the ancient warnings." Ambassador Krell, a tall reptilian, stood up. "Elder Thorn, you interrupt our trade discussions for some ghost story. The dead zone has been empty for 5,000 cycles." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The dead zone, a vast region of space, had been avoided by all spacefaring races for reasons lost to time. Only vague warnings remained in the oldest texts. "This is no ghost story," Thorn replied. He placed the crystal into the central reader. A large hologram appeared above the council floor. It showed a small vessel with smooth lines and strange markings. "This ship appeared 3 days ago. It moves unlike any vessel we know, and it responds to no communication." The blue-skinned Ambassador Vel rose from her seat. Unlike the others, she looked troubled. "I recognize those markings," she said quietly. The chamber fell silent again. Vel was the keeper of the ancient archives, the oldest knowledge in the galaxy. She touched a control panel, and a new image appeared beside the first. It showed similar markings from an ancient text. "These are human markings," she said. The word sent a wave of unease through the chamber. Most council members had heard the stories, tales told to frighten children. Humans were myth, bogeymen from a forgotten age. "Impossible," said Krell. "Humans are legends, not real beings." Vel shook her head. "The archives are clear. Humans existed. They were a species unlike any other, adaptable, innovative, and dangerous." She displayed another image. It showed an ancient battle scene with strange bike-built creatures fighting alongside older races against a dark enemy. Humans could survive in environments that would kill most of us. They could think in ways we cannot. And when threatened, they fought with unmatched fury. Elder Thorn nodded. "The oldest records say humans protected the galaxy once, then vanished. Some say they destroyed themselves. Others believe they left to fight an enemy beyond our knowledge." "These are children's tales," Krell insisted, but his voice held less certainty now. The chamber doors opened, and a messenger rushed in. He whispered urgently to Elder Thorn. Thorn's eyes widened. "The vessel has changed course. It heads directly for Nexus Prime." Panic flashed across many faces. Nexus Prime was the council headquarters, home to billions. "We should destroy it now," Krell said. "If the legends are true." "If the legends are true," Vel interrupted, "then humans were both protectors and warriors. We cannot simply attack them." "What do these legends say about human intentions?" asked a small, furry delegate from the outer systems. Vel's expression grew somber. "The texts disagree. Some call humans the shield of the galaxy. Others name them the doom of stars." The council erupted into arguments. "Destroy the ship. Talk to it. Hide." Elder Thorn raised his hands for silence. "Whatever we decide, we must decide quickly. The ship will reach our space in 12 hours. On the main screen, the small human vessel continued forward, its engines leaving a blue trail against the blackness of space. After 5,000 years of silence, humanity was returning to the stars. And no one knew whether to celebrate or to run. Captain Jack Reed stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel _Horizon_, staring at the massive space station ahead. It was beautiful, a ring of silver and blue spinning slowly against the stars. "Any response to our messages?" he asked. Lieutenant Mel Davis shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. They're receiving, but not answering." Reed frowned. This was humanity's first deep space mission since recovering from the Great Collapse. the war that had nearly ended human civilization a century ago. They had rebuilt, rediscovered space travel, and now ventured beyond their solar system for the first time in thousands of years. No one expected to find an advanced alien civilization so quickly. "Try again," Reed ordered. "All languages, all frequencies." Dr. Ellie Morgan joined him at the view screen. As the ship's xenobiologist, she had trained her whole life to study alien life. Now, she would finally meet some. "They might be scared," she said. "We're strangers to them." Reed nodded. "We come in peace, but they don't know that." Suddenly, the communications panel lit up. "Incoming transmission," Davis announced. "Audio and visual." The view screen changed to show a blue-skinned alien with large eyes and no visible hair. When it spoke, the ship's computer translated. "Unknown vessel," the alien said, "you are approaching Nexus Prime, seat of the Galactic Council. Identify yourselves immediately." Reed straightened his uniform. "This is Captain Jack Reed of the Earth vessel _Horizon_. We are on a peaceful exploration mission and request permission to approach." The alien's eyes widened at the word Earth. It turned away, speaking urgently to someone off-screen. When it turned back, its voice trembled slightly. "Stand by, Earth vessel." The screen went dark. "That was strange," Morgan said. It reacted to the word Earth like it recognized it. Reed nodded. "But how could they know about Earth? We haven't been in space for thousands of years." 3 hours later, the _Horizon_ docked at a small bay far from the station's main areas. Reed led a small team including Dr. Morgan and Security Chief Ben Willis through the airlock. 5 aliens waited for them, the blue-skinned one from the transmission. 2 tall reptilian beings, a small furry creature, and an ancient-looking gray alien with 3 fingers. "I am Ambassador Vel," the blue-skinned alien said. "This is Elder Thorn, Ambassador Krell, and delegates from the Council." Reed stepped forward, hand outstretched in the human gesture of greeting. "Captain Jack Reed, thank you for allowing us to dock." The alien stared at his hand with expressions ranging from curiosity to fear. None moved to touch him. "You claim to be from Earth," Krell said, his reptilian eyes narrowed. "Prove it." Morgan frowned. "How do you know about Earth?" Elder Thorn stepped forward, studying the humans with ancient eyes. "We know many things, young ones. Earth is not unknown to us." Willis tensed, hand moving closer to his weapon. Reed gave him a warning glance. "We mean no harm," Reed said. "We're explorers, looking to reconnect with the galaxy." "Reconnect?" Vel asked sharply. "Then you admit your kind has been here before?" Reed looked confused. "No, this is humanity's first contact with alien life." The aliens exchanged looks. Thorn spoke quietly. "You do not know your own history." "What history?" Morgan asked. Instead of answering, Vel gestured toward a doorway. "The Council wishes to speak with you. Please follow me." As they walked, Reed noticed other aliens in the corridors stopping to stare. Some looked afraid. Others seemed amazed. A small group bowed as they passed. "Why are they looking at us like that?" Reed whispered to Morgan. "I don't know," she replied. "But I think we're not just visitors here." "What then?" Morgan watched as another alien backed against a wall to let them pass, its eyes wide with what looked like awe. "Legends," she said softly. "They're looking at us like we're legends come to life." The galactic archives stretched before them like an endless ocean of knowledge. Rows of crystal data storage lined the vast chamber, glowing with soft blue light. Dr. Morgan stared in wonder. "This is incredible," she whispered. Ambassador Vel led the small human team through the archive chamber. Captain Reed, Dr. Morgan, and Chief Willis followed, their footsteps echoing in the quiet space. The archives contained the collected knowledge of 50,000 cycles, Vel explained. "Most council members never enter this place." "Then why bring us here?" Reed asked. Vel stopped before a sealed door. because your questions can only be answered by the oldest records. The door slid open to reveal a small room with a single pedestal in the center. On it rested an ancient weathered book, not digital storage, but actual paper bound in some kind of leather. "This is one of the few physical books remaining in the galaxy," Vel said. "It speaks of humans." Morgan stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. "May I?" Vel nodded. "You may read, but not touch. The book is fragile." Vel pressed a control, and the book opened. A scanner moved across the pages, projecting the text as a hologram above the pedestal. Strange symbols appeared, then shifted into English. "It's translating into our language," Reed said, surprised. "The archives adapt to the reader," Vel explained. Morgan read aloud. "In the time of the Great Darkness, when the void came to consume all, the humans stood against the tide. Where others fell, they endured. Where others fled, they advanced." Reed frowned. "This can't be right. Humanity never left our solar system before now." Morgan continued reading. "The humans formed the shield wall, protecting the younger races with their bodies and their ships. They alone could withstand the mental attacks of the void. They alone could adapt quickly enough to counter its ever-changing strategies." Willis whistled softly. "Sounds like we were pretty tough. When the void retreated, humanity had paid a terrible price." Morgan read on. "Their homeworld damaged, their numbers few. The protectors made a decision to withdraw from the stars, to heal, to prepare for the void's return. They wiped their own memories, hiding their true nature even from themselves." "This is insane," Reed said. "You're saying humans deliberately erased our history, made us forget we were part of a galactic civilization." Vel's face was solemn. "The book says your ancestors chose isolation to protect you and us. The war against the void changed humans in ways that frightened the other races. Some council members argued for your extinction. So instead, we went home and gave ourselves collective amnesia." Willis asked incredulously. "The final entry," Morgan said, reading the last page. "The protectors will return when needed most. When the void rises again, so too will humanity remember its purpose. It's signed by someone called the Last Captain." Reed shook his head. "Even if this is true, it was thousands of years ago. We're not these legendary warriors anymore." The archive room suddenly flashed red. An alarm sounded, making them all jump. Vel touched a communication device on her wrist. "What's happening?" A panicked voice answered. "Attack at Outpost 7. All ships lost. The darkness, it consumed everything." Vel's blue skin paled to almost white. She looked at the humans with wide, frightened eyes. "The void has returned," she whispered, just as the book predicted. Reed felt a chill run down his spine. Outside the archive chamber, they could hear shouting as council members scrambled to respond to the attack. "How far is this Outpost 7? He asked. 3 days' journey, Vel replied. Reed looked at Morgan and Willis. Something stirred in him, a feeling he couldn't explain, like muscle memory from a life he'd never lived. "The _horizon_ can be ready to launch in an hour," he said. Morgan grabbed his arm. "Jack, you can't seriously be thinking of going there." Reed looked back at the ancient book, still glowing with its translated prophecy. "If this is true," he said quietly, "then facing this void is what humans were made for." Outpost 7 was gone. Where a thriving space station once orbited, only floating debris remained. The _horizon_ slowed as it approached the destruction zone. "Any life signs?" Reed asked, his voice tight. Lieutenant Davis shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. No survivors." Ambassador Vel stood behind them, her blue hands gripping the edge of a console. She had insisted on coming despite the council's objections. "This is exactly how it began before," she said quietly. "Small outposts first, then colonies, then whole worlds." On the main screen, something moved among the debris. A dark shape, hard to focus on. as if it bent light around itself. "What is that?" Willis asked, hand moving to his weapon. Dr. Morgan studied her scanner. "It's absorbing energy. And growing." The shape pulsed and expanded. Tendrils of darkness reached out, pulling in metal and other materials from the destroyed station. "It's feeding," Vel whispered. Reed made a quick decision. "Weapons online. Target that thing." "Wait," Morgan said. "We don't know what it is." "I know it destroyed this station," Reed replied. "Fire." The _horizons lasers cut through space, striking the dark mass. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the darkness shrank back, pulsing rapidly. "It felt that," Willis said. The dark mass suddenly surged toward them, moving faster than seemed possible. "Evasive maneuvers," Reed ordered. The _horizon banked hard, narrowly avoiding the reaching tendrils of darkness. The ship shuddered as Reed yelled, "Fire again. All weapons." This time, the combined firepower of the Earth vessel tore through the dark entity. It split apart, fragments scattering into space. "Did we kill it?" Davis asked. Morgan checked her readings. "I don't think so. The pieces are still active, just smaller." Reed turned to Vel. "What exactly is this void?" "We don't fully understand it," she admitted. "The ancient texts say it's a collective consciousness that consumes all it touches, matter, energy, even thought." A small alarm sounded on Morgan's console. "Captain, I'm detecting a distress signal. Weak but clear." "From where?" Reed asked. "A small moon orbiting the gas giant. There's a mining colony there." Reed's eyes met Willis's. The security chief nodded. "Set course for that moon," Reed ordered. "Maximum speed. ****. The mining colony was under attack when they arrived. 3 dark masses, smaller than the one they'd encountered earlier, surrounded the small settlement's protective dome. "Those shields won't hold much longer," Willis observed. Reed turned to his crew. "Prep the shuttle. We're going down there." "That's crazy," Davis protested. "Those things nearly took us out in space." "There are 400 people down there," Reed replied. "We're not leaving them." 10 minutes later, Reed led a team of 6 through the colony's emergency airlock. Willis, Morgan, and 3 security officers followed, all armed with the heaviest weapons from the _horizons armory. Inside, panic reigned. Colonists ran for shelter as parts of the dome began to crack. Through the transparent sections, they could see the dark masses pressing against the barrier. A colony official rushed to meet them. "Who are you? How did you get here?" "Captain Reed, Earth vessel _horizon. We're here to help." The official looked confused. "Earth? That's just a myth." "Not anymore," Willis said, checking his weapon. "Where's your power core?" "Central building." "Why?" Reed explained quickly. "Dr. Morgan thinks these entities are vulnerable to certain energy frequencies. We need to modify your core to emit a pulse that might drive them back." As they spoke, a section of dome shattered. Alarms blared as emergency barriers slammed down, but not before a tendril of darkness slipped through. "Move," Reed shouted, pushing the official aside as the darkness lunged forward. Willis fired his weapon. The beam struck the tendril, causing it to recoil. "The weapons hurt it," he called. "Everyone to the central building," Reed ordered. Now, as they ran through the colony streets, more sections of the dome failed. Darkness poured in from multiple directions, reaching for the fleeing colonists. The humans formed a defensive line, weapons firing steadily. Where other species ran in terror, the Earth team stood their ground, protecting the retreat. From a distance, Vel watched through the shuttle view screen. The ancient legends hadn't exaggerated after all. Humans truly were different, fearless in a way other species couldn't understand. The storm was gathering, and humanity was facing it head-on. The Grand Council chamber was no longer calm and orderly. Representatives shouted over each other as reports of more attacks flooded in. 3 more outposts had gone dark. A small colony world had sent a final desperate message before all communication ceased. Elder Thorn struggled to maintain order. "Please, we must work together." Ambassador Krell slammed his fist on the table. "The humans brought this upon us. The void follows them." "That's not true," Vel countered. "The archives clearly show the void was returning anyway. The humans' arrival is a blessing, not a curse." The chamber doors opened. Captain Reed entered with Dr. Morgan and Chief Willis. Behind them walked a tall, gray-haired man in a crisp uniform with more decorations than Reed's. "Admiral Thomas Wilson," Reed announced, "Commander of Earth Defense Force." The council fell silent. After Reed's message about the void, Earth had sent help, a small fleet of 7 ships now in orbit around Nexus Prime. Admiral Wilson stepped forward. His weathered face showed no fear, only determination. "I understand you face a threat you call the void," he said simply. "We're here to help." Krell laughed coldly. 7 ships. The void consumed entire fleets in the ancient war. Wilson nodded. "Then we'll build more ships." "There's no time," Elder Thorn said. "Our latest reports show the void entities merging, growing larger. They've already taken 2 major transit hubs." Wilson turned to Reed. "Your report mentioned the entities responded to certain weapons." "Yes, sir. High-energy plasma seems most effective. Dr. Morgan has been analyzing the data." Morgan stepped forward, nervous before the alien council but speaking clearly. "The void entities absorb energy, but certain frequencies disrupt their structure. We've modified our weapons accordingly." "Can these modifications be applied to our ships?" asked a small furry counselor. "Yes," Morgan replied. "We've prepared instructions for your engineers." Admiral Wilson spread a star map on the central table. "Show me where the attacks are happening." As the council members marked attack locations, a pattern emerged. The void was spreading in a specific direction, toward the richest, most populated systems. "It's hunting," Wilson said, "moving from easy targets to bigger prizes." "How can you know its intentions?" Krell demanded. Wilson's eyes were hard. "Because that's what I would do if I were planning an invasion. Hit the small outposts first, create panic, then strike the valuable targets while defenses are scattered." The room fell silent as the council members considered his words. "What do you propose?" Elder Thorn asked finally. Wilson pointed to a star system near the center of the attacks. "We make a stand here. Combined forces, modified weapons, my ships will lead the defense." "That system has no strategic value," Krell objected. "Exactly," Wilson replied. "The void won't expect a major defense there. We'll catch it by surprise." Reed watched the council members exchange glances. They were scared, desperate, and now putting their faith in humans they barely knew. Elder Thorn spoke for all of them. "We accept your plan, Admiral Wilson." 3 days later, the trap was set. 20 alien ships joined the 7 Earth vessels at the chosen system. They waited in formation, weapons ready. "Any sign of the enemy?" Wilson asked from his command ship. "Nothing yet, sir," Reed replied from the _horizon_, which floated nearby. Then the sensors lit up. Space itself seemed to darken as a massive void entity, bigger than any they'd seen before, appeared. "All ships, hold position," Wilson ordered calmly. "Wait for my command." The darkness grew, spreading across their view screens like spilled ink. Reed felt his heart hammering. The enemy before them dwarfed their combined fleet. Yet Wilson showed no fear, only focused concentration. On every ship, aliens watched in amazement as the humans prepared to fight against impossible odds. The legends had said humans were fearless, even foolish in their courage. Now they would see if courage alone was enough. "Fire!" Admiral Wilson's command echoed across all comm channels. 27 ships fired simultaneously, their modified weapons cutting through space. The massive void entity shuddered as the energy beams struck it. Tendrils of darkness pulled back, wounded but not defeated. It's working. Reed called from the _horizon_. Maintain fire. The combined fleet pressed the attack, following Wilson's carefully planned strategy. Human ships darted forward aggressively, while alien vessels provided covering fire from distance. For a moment, victory seemed possible. Then the Void changed tactics. Instead of absorbing the energy or retreating, it split into dozens of smaller entities. They moved with frightening speed, surrounding individual ships. Evasive maneuvers, Wilson ordered, but it was too late for some. 3 alien ships vanished, consumed by darkness. Their crews' screams cut off abruptly on the comm channels. On the _horizons_ bridge, Reed felt something strange, a pressure in his head, like someone trying to push into his mind. "Captain." Davis looked concerned. "You're bleeding." Reed touched his nose, fingers coming away red with blood. Around him, other human crew members showed similar symptoms, yet the alien crew members seemed unaffected. Dr. Morgan stumbled onto the bridge, her own nose bleeding. "It's attacking our minds," she gasped. "But only the humans." Reed grabbed the comm. "Admiral Wilson, the Void is targeting humans specifically. Some kind of mental attack." No response came. The Admiral's ship was surrounded by darkness. Morgan grabbed Reed's arm. "Jack, I understand now. The ancient records, they said humans had special mental abilities that could fight the Void. That's why it fears us." "What abilities?" Reed demanded, his head pounding. "I don't feel very special right now." Morgan's eyes were bright with realization. The archive said humans forgot their powers when they isolated themselves. What if they're still there, just dormant? Another ship exploded nearby. They were losing the battle. "How do we wake them up?" Reed asked. Morgan looked uncertain. "I don't know exactly, but—" She was interrupted as Reed suddenly collapsed. Willis caught him before he hit the floor. Reed's vision darkened. Strange images flashed through his mind. Stars seen from unfamiliar angles, battles against the darkness. Thousands of humans linked together mentally, forming a shield against the Void. His ancestors' memories. When Reed opened his eyes, he knew what to do. "Help me up," he ordered. "Captain, you need medical," Willis began. "No time," Reed cut him off. "Get me to the comm system. All channels, all ships." Once there, Reed spoke clearly despite the pain in his head. "All human crew members, listen carefully. The Void isn't just attacking our ships. It's attacking our minds because it fears what we can do." He described the mental technique he'd seen in his vision, a way of focusing thought that created a barrier the Void couldn't penetrate. "Close your eyes. Picture a wall of light, not around you, but extending from you. Connect to the humans near you. Feel their minds." Across the fleet, human crew members followed his instructions. Many fell to their knees, blood trickling from their noses as dormant neural pathways activated after thousands of years. On the bridge, Vel watched in amazement as Reed's face relaxed despite the strain. A faint glow seemed to surround him. Not physical light, but something her eyes couldn't quite process. The Void entities attacking the fleet suddenly pulled back, as if hitting an invisible barrier. "It's working," Morgan whispered, her own mind linked to the network forming among the humans. Reed nodded, speaking through gritted teeth. "But we can't hold it for long. This is just the beginning." Through the view screen, they watched as the scattered Void entities began merging again, growing larger, preparing for another attack. The awakening had begun, but the real test was still to come. Admiral Wilson's voice crackled over the comm system. "Earth has responded to our distress call. Reinforcements are coming." Reed, still maintaining his part of the mental barrier, felt a surge of hope. "How many ships?" "None," Wilson replied. "Just people. Volunteers. 3,000 humans willing to join the mental network." Morgan looked up in surprise. 3,000. How will they get here in time? "The Council provided ships," Wilson explained. "Fastest vessels in the galaxy. They'll arrive in 6 hours." Reed glanced at the view screen. The void entity had regrouped into a massive dark cloud, pulsing with energy stolen from the ships it had consumed. "We might not have 6 hours," Willis said grimly. Vel, who had remained on the _horizon_, studied the tactical display. "The void is circling, looking for weaknesses in your mental barrier. Once it finds one." Reed made a decision. "We need to attack, not just defend. We need to reach the center of that thing." "Impossible," Vel protested. "Nothing could survive inside it." "Humans might," Morgan said quietly. "The archive said we were made for this fight." Reed nodded. "I'll take a small ship. If I can reach the center, maybe I can disrupt it from within. The rest of you maintain the barrier." Despite objections, Reed prepared a shuttle. Morgan and Willis insisted on joining him. "We're stronger together," Morgan said simply. As their small craft left the _horizon_, the entire human network focused to create a path through the darkness. The shuttle moved forward, surrounded by a faint glow of mental energy. The void sensed them coming. Tendrils of darkness lashed out, trying to break through their protection. Inside the shuttle, the 3 humans strained to maintain their mental shield while pushing deeper into the enemy. "There," Morgan pointed. At the center of the darkness, something glowed with a sickly purple light. That must be its core. Their shuttle lurched as a tendril broke through their defenses, wrapping around the hull. "We're losing the shield," Willis warned, blood now streaming from his eyes as well as his nose. Reed pushed his mind harder, reaching out to the other humans in the fleet. "Help us reach the center. One last push." Across the combined fleet, humans responded. They gave everything they had, channeling mental energy into the 3 who dared to enter the heart of the void. The shuttle broke free, surging forward toward the purple glow. "Weapons ready," Reed ordered. "All power to forward shields." They fired everything they had at the core. The purple light flickered, then blazed brighter. The shuttle's controls sparked and died. "It's absorbing our attack," Willis shouted over the alarms. Reed closed his eyes, reaching deeper into the mental network. "Not weapons," he said. "Minds. All of us together." The 3 joined hands. Around the fleet, humans did the same. Their combined consciousness flowed like a river, directed by Reed, Morgan, and Willis at its tip. They struck the void's core with their unified will. The purple light shrieked, not a sound, but a psychic cry that tore through everyone's minds. The darkness convulsed, tendrils thrashing wildly. "It's working," Morgan cried. "Keep pushing." The mental pressure was too much. Blood vessels burst in Reed's brain. Willis collapsed. Morgan's heart stuttered. But they didn't stop. The reinforcements arrived just as the void began to collapse in on itself. 3,000 fresh human minds joined the network, pouring their strength into the final assault. The purple core shattered. The darkness evaporated like mist under the sun. In the sudden silence that followed, the remaining ships searched desperately for the small shuttle. They found it drifting, systems dead. Inside, Reed, Morgan, and Willis lay still, barely breathing but alive. 2 weeks later, Reed opened his eyes in the medical bay of Nexus Prime. Admiral Wilson stood beside his bed. "Did we win?" Reed asked, his voice weak. Wilson nodded. "The void is gone. The Council has declared humans official protectors of the galaxy." Reed managed a small smile, just like in the old legends. "No," said Vel, stepping forward. "This time the legends are true, and they begin with 3 humans who weren't afraid of the dark."